What would you risk?
We do this and it's over.
What is it that's missing in your life that money can get you?
To have it all.
We're all in this together now, right?
Not anymore.
There we go, and I'll sweeten the deal.
With what?
It's not over yet.
Into the blue. Welcome to Blockbuster Buds.
Blockbuster
boys. Blockbuster ballers.
Blockbuster bazoingas.
Blockbuster buffs. We out here.
Blinkos.
Yes, Blockbuster Blinkos. This show is called Blockbuster Buffs with Matt and Joe. I am the guy who watches all the movies, and Joe is the guy who watches most of the movies, and also has a degree in cinema history.
Yep. I think the degree has changed every episode, but there's
I
something
always pick a
around
new
there.
one. Just to, liven things up a little bit.
For sure.
I think, what do you actually have a degree in, Joe?
Movie,
You have
nonsense.
a minor in film studies.
Hey, there it
Correct?
is. Ding dong, you got it.
Yahtzee. So,
Yeah.
Joe is an expert, and I'm a sexpert, and it's
Yeah, he
great.
is.
No, I do watch like a lot of movies though. Self pound, not in
Self-pound.
the sexpert category. Yeah, so I watch a lot of movies, and Joe also watches a fair amount of movies, and we are the Blockbuster Buffs podcast on the All Days Off Network. Follow us on Instagram. Anyway, what do we do on this show, Joe?
Well, first off, we summarize. And for those of you who've been watching along with us for a while, you might see our summaries as a little redundant or a little unnecessary. But the reason we do summaries is because we don't want to assign homework. We don't want you guys to have to do something before being able to listen to the episode. So we summarize the movie for you. Yes, we kind of get in the weeds sometimes. We try to avoid that as much as possible, but the summary not only helps us parse out our own thoughts and feelings about it, but also is just good for you guys, so that way you can just listen to the episode instead of having to watch the movie, because sometimes the movie might be great and you want to watch it afterwards. Other times, you don't.
Yeah.
So we can just do it for you.
Speaking of which, if you haven't figured out by now, spoiler alert, we spoil all of the movies.
Oh, yeah, big time. And all these movies are generally, at least, they've been out for long enough for you to have watched them.
Yeah, there might be other seasons where we're watching new releases, but
True.
this season, no.
Like Fast 10 will be the only one.
Yeah, End of the Road, but
that's
no
true.
one even heard of that movie.
Yeah, and no one needs to watch it.
Nope, just don't watch it.
But yeah, so we summarize. That's our first segment. Our second segment is to dunk or defend. That is where Matt and I each give our dunk or defense on the movie, more so based on, did it do what it was intending to do? Did it succeed at its goal within the world that it exists on its own?
Right.
And then
Yeah, we're not trying to compare Citizen Kane to Ratatouille.
facts. No printer. And then our third segment is our quarter mile time. That is our ranking system for this season, because this season is all about family.
All about family. So much. Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to family. And the family we're talking about this season is a particular love of mine and a love of Joe's as well. The Fast and the Furious family. So what are these people doing when they're outside of, they're outside of the Fast universe. They're not flipping cars or driving tanks or blowing stuff up. They're just living their dreams, They're out at other film projects. We're looking at what are these actors doing outside of the Fast franchise. So, with that in mind, we are talking about, sorry about my keys. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Into the Blue after we figure out what we watched this week. Joe, what'd you watch this week?
What did I watch this week? This week I watched a couple episodes of the new season of Our Flag Means Death.
Okay.
It's on HBO. It's got Taika Waititi and another dude, forget his name, and it's about pirates. It's a kind of fun modern take on Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet, the gentleman pirate. And yeah, it's just a fun, goofy pirate comedy. Pretty silly, but
Yeah.
it's a good time.
It's all right. I'm medium that show.
The new season is coming out currently.
Okay. Yeah. I might check it out.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of nerfed Blackbeard a bit more than I want him to, but it was funny. Taika Waititi's funny.
They did nerf him, but also, did you make it to the end of the first season?
Yeah.
So they unnerf him as well. And the start of the second season, he's very not nerfed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a little bit soft at the first season, which is actually, as far as I understand, kind of true of Blackbeard. As a pirate, he mostly he built up like a theatrical reputation,
Right.
rather than actually just killing everyone he sees.
If you can
He's a real Dread Private Roberts, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Intimidate him with your theatrics and reputation.
Put some gunpowder in your beard and light it on fire.
Yep.
People will think you're a demon.
And they'll surrender without you even have to draw a sword. So there you go.
Generally effective.
Yep.
Generally effective.
And despite what Pirates of the Caribbean taught us, there was actually a lot less fighting going on with pirates.
And like
Back in the
a
day.
very, very short window of piracy.
True.
Like
Like the golden age of piracy was only like 10 years.
10?
Mm-hmm. 1715 to 1725 was the
Holy
golden
cow.
age of
So
piracy.
you're saying there weren't just pirates who have been around, Jack Sparrow's dad making laws and
I
pieces
mean,
of eight and all that?
They were there too. They were around. Like Henry Avery was the end of the 1600s, like 1690s. He was kind of like the grandpa, founding father pirate for who we consider the pirates, and he definitely did some pretty gnarly stuff. But what we consider like the best time to be a pirate, as far as living the life that they were trying to live and being the most successful without being caught or killed all the time, was that window. So yeah, sure, there's plenty of pirates beforehand,
Yeah.
some successful ones.
Well, most of them only had like a 2 or 3 year career, which I thought was odd when I started looking into it. Like they're just out there for a couple years. But also, if you think about it, like living on a boat,
Yeah.
like,
And, I mean-
and robbing ships with the British Navy running about, yeah, that's not gonna last forever.
Nope. A lot of them were very well educated too. So like they're not just straight up thieving
Yeah.
for no reason. They were privateers. And then when the
Yeah, the best pirates became a part of the British Navy.
well, kind of more so, a lot of them were part of the British Navy, and they were so fed up with it that when the War of Spanish Succession ended, they had nothing else to do, and all they knew how to do was to sail. So they just like kept being pirates and continued to steal from foreign nation ships.
All right.
I like pirates a lot.
Yeah, you do have a more robust knowledge of pirates than I do, and I don't consider myself a real pirate head, but I did Google it for, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes one day. So I got the history.
Learns everything you needed to know.
Yeah, Wikipedia, man.
Yeah,
You get it.
for sure. I pay for that. I pay that like annual donation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're one of the 2%.
Yeah, I'm one of the 2%.
I have paid for Wikipedia twice. I've paid them $4 whole.
Yeah,
My entire
I mean,
Wikipedia usage.
I've maybe paid them like $20 or $30.
Yeah.
Over. The
I'm glad
last-
Wikipedia exists. So
Yeah, me too. I use
not
it
a
all the
bad
time.
investment.
Yeah. All right. What'd you watch this week?
I don't like to date the episodes, but I will say today is October 31st.
Mm-hmm.
It's Halloween.
It is, and we're not doing a scary episode.
Right, we're not.
A little bit.
This is going to come out in close to
smidgen.
December because I have 2 babies and I'm moving, and Joe also has jobs and lives, so we record these not always this far in advance, but we record them a little bit in advance. It's not like these are hot takes, so it doesn't really matter. But I watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Wow.
and it was so good.
Really? Like that good?
It was really good.
Huh.
It was uh it was so unpleasant, and it was so like interesting, and I really thought it was just gonna be like another Halloween, but it really had its own flavor,
Hmm.
and that was pretty compelling to me. And then on top of that, I did like so like horror movies. The bad guy is often interesting or cool or kind of suave or like totally spiritual. So it's like there's like this elevation. But in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the bad guys are so disgusting just in their whole way about them. And it's really unnerving. And that was a really like surprising thing to me.
Hmm.
And it kept me up a little bit. I mean, I wasn't like looking around the corner. I didn't like gasp at any point. But when I was trying to go to bed, right before you fall asleep, you just kind of feel like I should probably look around, make sure there's not a dude trying to like kill me right now. Nope. All right, I'm going back to bed. And then you go to bed, and then you know how sometimes in the night you just stir a little bit and wake up, but you don't really wake up. I like would just actually wake up for a second, and then I go back to sleep. But yeah, it was unsettling enough to actually have an effect, and I was pretty happy about that.
I believe it.
It didn't make my sleep awesome, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's to be expected with
So yeah, Texas
slashers.
Chainsaw Massacre 1.
Wow.
I haven't seen any of the other ones. I
Yeah.
had no idea what the story was at all. Not read a thing about it, but if you're gonna watch a horror movie, it's pretty gross and weird. Which I think that's the call of the horror movie. But we're
Mhm.
not here to talk about horror movies, and we're not here to talk about pirates. We're here to talk about
Kinda. Couple pirates.
That's true.
A little bit of piracy.
Yeah, we're here to talk about our boy Brian.
Oh, Brian.
Yep. And the thing about Brian is he's played by Paul Walker, and Paul Walker unfortunately died doing what he loved, running about, driving his cars. And so when we say, what is this person doing outside of the Fast and Furious franchise, we have to remember that Paul Walker's not doing a lot, but he did have a decent career, and he's a fun actor, and he did some, like, he was actually pretty competent in some of the movies he did, and in the Fast franchise, he was fantastic. So, anyway, we'll get the Vinsanity out of us by turning this song off. We watched Into the Blue, which, yeah, it's a pretty fun movie. Pretty weird movie. It's not really like a weird movie, but it's like an artifact of its time.
That is a very good way to put that.
Yeah, like
It's an artifact.
it's
of,
a 2005
Yeah.
movie, and it's so 2005. Even when you watch the trailer, which we played a little bit at the beginning of the episode, like it's very 2005. And we're gonna do the summary now, and then I'll get into some of my feelings about the movie. And we'll do our whole thing. That Wiz Khalifa song made me all sad about it.
Yeah, I know.
It's a bad vibe.
Hard to not get in your feels. Paul Paul.
It is sad. Okay, so this movie is about Paul Walker and Jessica Alba, and they are basically they're like scrubs down in the Bahamas, Key West area who
Yeah,
are
they're island rats.
yeah, exactly. Jessica Alba has like a respectable job. She's a marine biologist. She doesn't make a lot of money, but basically she works for the Atlantis company and puts on dolphin shows. So like she has a fun life, but not like a rich life. Paul Walker is a scuba instructor who was a treasure hunter and kind of is still a treasure hunter.
He's got his own boat that is
Derelict.
in shambles.
Yeah.
Flooded most of the time.
Yeah, they live on it and it's in the bay. Like it's on a dock.
They
and
don't live on it. Like they've got a
They
shack.
live like on the shack of the dock. Yeah.
They live in a shack at the dock. They're next to it.
Yeah, but it's the hole is constantly in water, and he can't seem to get it going again. But yeah, so they're out there having a good time. They are poor but moderately happy. And the beginning of the movie, Paul Walker, Jared is his name in the movie, is a scuba instructor. He basically talks crap to his boss and gets fired, and then goes back to his little shack and starts pumping water out of his boat. Jessica Alba is running about. Her name is somebody. Sam. And she comes home and is like, "Oh, what's going on?" Um, and they're basically just like making out on their, basically sunken boat in their shambles of a life. And Josh Brolin drives by. His name is Bates. He shows up on his boats and he talks crap at Jared a little bit. And he's like, "Hey, man, you come out on my boat where we do treasure hunting for real." And, Paul Walker is not super into that. And then we cut to them in the car. Sam and Jared they're driving somewhere and they make out a little bit in the car too. And they're going to pick up Jared's douchebag friend from the airport. He has a lawyer for the bad guys and makes like gross sexual comments about Sam in front of Amanda, who's the girl he brought with him to go visit them, which is kind of like annoying, but then you realize like, all right, well, they just met, but still it's annoying. It's annoying to do that to like Jared anyway, but it's also annoying to do it in front of the girl that you're hanging out with. So the douchebag guy, he has a fancy place through his work. One of the people he's defending, his name is Bryce. One of the people he's defending has like a place out there, so they took that place as payment for their law work, and so he basically just has access to this super fancy house and a super fancy boat and jet skis and the whole deal. And Paul Walker, when they show up, is just like giddy with excitement, so excited. We cut to a montage of them just running about, flipping jet skis. Girls are driving the boat, boys are just running about and playing in their jet skis. Yeah, and there has been a storm recently. And we do see right at the beginning of the movie, before any of this happens, we do see a plane go down. We don't know what it means. But there's been a storm recently, and Jared sees something in the water, and he's like, "I'm going to go check it out." And so they take these little sticks, and him and Sam jump in the water, and there's just like sharks everywhere. But Sam's like, these guys aren't going to bite you. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And so him and Jared and Sam and Amanda all jump in the water, and Bryce reluctantly gets in, and they do some looking about and find a dagger. And so they go back up and they're like talking about this dagger, and this dagger is a big gold dagger from a ship that is clearly like hauling some real loot. So they get back in and they continue to search for all kinds of, basically just for treasure. Bryce brings a mop down with him the second time to try to fend off the sharks, which they take as like an invitation to try to get the mop, because sharks are dumb. And so they just pull that right out of his mouth or right out of his hands, and just like he gets all scared. But basically, Jared's like, "Dude, relax. They're not trying to attack like people. We're not in their food chain. We're way too big for them. Like this, just relax." And then they stumble upon a plane. A plane filled with cocaine and 2 dead bodies.
Bags and bags of cocaine.
A huge amount of cocaine. And so Bryce and Amanda, the 2 transplants who are just visiting from the big city, they grab a bag. Everyone else just kind of surfaces and goes back to the boat, and they're like, "Whoa, okay." So Jared and Sam are like, "We got this cool dagger. It's awesome. We're gonna have to come back here, and we're gonna have to get some equipment, and we're gonna have to like we may have found something cool." And then Bryce and Amanda are like, guys, that's like, that's like $100 million worth of cocaine down there. Like, let's just get the cocaine." And Sam and Jared are like, no. Like, first of all, there's dead bodies on that plane. We are supposed to report it. Jared convinces Sam not to report it until until they excavate the area a little bit better. But they're like, no, we are going to not mess with that at all. That could be a real problem and get us into real trouble. And like, they live here, so that's kind of their vibe. They're like, this is our home. This isn't like, let's make a bunch of money and steal from people we live next to, or like flood our island with coke. Like, no thank you. We're not into that. Let's see here. Yeah, the problem with the plane is that they're supposed to be reporting it, but again, they talk Sam into, let's try to like figure out how to excavate this area first. And Jared's like, all right, well, we can rent some equipment, and so he goes out to like basically a shipyard. It's like, all right, it's $30,000 to rent equipment, and the lawyer friend had agreed to pay for it, but he is not wealthy. Actually, he's in quite a bit of debt and doesn't have a way to get 30 grand liquid right now. And so they're like, ugh, all right, whatever. And they just take the ship and basically the tools that they already have, essentially, to go excavate the area. And so they take some time that night as well. They throw out some grids the next day. They start treasure hunting. Amanda steals some coke from the plane, or tries to go steal some coke from the plane, but runs out of oxygen. And Paul Walker, Jared, not Brian, has to go save her, basically. And he's like, dude, I told you we're not messing with this plane. She's like, I wasn't doing that. I'm like, come on, dude, what else were you doing? Like, don't be silly. And so then they get back to the house and they investigate some of the finds from the plane, or from the, not from the plane, from the day. They do find a couple more artifacts, and they like basically, dust off that blade that they found and some other things. They are fairly convinced that the ship is called the Zephyr. Fancy ship, lots of treasure from New Orleans, worth approximately $1 billion. So yeah, that's.
And at this point, what they have to do is, Bryce wants them to go start claiming some of the, like, making money off the stuff they're finding. And Jared tells him he can't, because they need to find something that specifically has the name of the ship on it before they can actually claim making the find, or else they won't get any of the money from any of it.
Yeah, because someone else will just come in and take all of it. They don't have anything else to lay claim. So they could sell the artifacts they found.
No,
I think they could sell the artifacts that they have possession of, but they couldn't claim the site. So they would lose all the money at the site until they found.
Okay.
That was my understanding anyway. So they go back the next day, and Jared is like, Amanda, you stay here with the boat. Basically, he's like, I don't want you going to the plane with the cocaine. Just stay here with the boat. And then we get just like a super unnecessary Lear shot of Amanda's butt, and then she writes down some coordinates. And this movie, okay, man, I'm going to talk about it now a little bit. This movie is super leery, and I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I get why it's like nice to see beautiful people on movies and television. I don't like it when movies are are like, "Hey, check out how crazy hot this girl is. Let's just look at her for like 10, 15 seconds. Just look at how super hot she is." And then it's like, "Oh, but she's actually really smart and interesting." It's like, "Come on, movie, don't do that to me. Like, this is not necessary. It's kind of annoying. Like, I don't know. Maybe you feel differently, but I just like I just don't have any patience for it. I'm just like, I don't care. Like,
She was a very annoying character in
yeah,
general.
Amanda sucked, and it like Sam, they leered on her a lot as well, and it's like I get why this is neat, but come on, a little bit of class, please.
That's why Jessica Alba's there, bro.
I get it, but they also like try to play her like a smart, sweet character, and it's like you can't have like a smart, sweet character and also just like
Eh, sure you can.
I guess, but they literally made her have such a skimpy bikini that they had to digitally widen the butt of the bikini for the theatrical release. So the only way you can really, the
You
only way you
did
can
deep dive
really
on this scene, huh?
no, Prime Video just told me about it. I paused it, um, like not even on the Lear scene, but just in the ocean. It was
Yeah.
like fun fact, like. Wait, for real? So the only way you can see the actual bikini she's wearing, if you really want to leer, is get the director's cut. So I'm like, dude, that's so. It's just kind of, I don't know, a little crass in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Amanda writes down the coordinates, and the rest of them are just looking for treasure. And it is odd that she writes down the coordinates because I'm like, I don't understand why she would need them or what she knows about them. So the authorities do show up after, oh yeah, underwater. Bryce and Sam and Jared find like a big ass cannon, and it's pretty cool. And they're trying to like float it up to the boat, but then these like authorities show up, and Amanda's there just like tan and topless, and is like, "Oh hey everybody, we're just out here." Like she's trying to talk them up into leaving essentially, and they are just kind of stuck underwater, and then one of their bags, they have these like air bags that they fill up to like float the cannon up rather than just, you can't just like lift it, so they just float it up. um but one of those malfunctions and it falls, and Bryce gets his arm caught underneath it, and so they're like starting to run out of air. Bryce is trapped, and Jessica Alba like puts her head into these bags and like funnels air to Jared and Bryce until they figure out how to get his arm out. Which was I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of suspense to that. So they get out, and once Jared and Sam get out, they just talk to the authorities, and they like know these guys. They're just like, "Oh yeah, we're just like out here looking for treasure," and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's cool. Anyway, have a good day. We're just making sure you're not running drugs," and so it's just not a big deal. Um, then what happens?
From there, they go back to the island and they wind up at that dude's party, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I have in my notes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so they go to this. He's kind of a drug runner, dude who's throwing this big party on the island. The crew shows up. They're there hanging out. Amanda goes and starts flirting this guy up, and we're not totally sure, but she might be divulging some information about where this cocaine might be if he's wanting to make a deal for finding it. So she goes, talks to him. Bryce is dancing with a wet shirt in the middle of the dance floor, and he's like, "Where'd you go?" Oh. Weird.
Bryce is such.
She left me to go find the other dude who just has more money and drugs, so that makes sense.
And he's all like offended about it. He gets all butthurt and gets in a fight.
Jared has to pull Bryce off of the dude when they're fighting, and get him out of there. But at this point, Amanda has given away that they know where the cocaine is.
Yep, that sucks, first of all. Second of all, they get back to the fancy pants place that Bryce is living in, and Bryce is like, dude, we need money to make this work. So, like, let's just get some of that cocaine and we'll sell that cocaine and then we'll just, like, make this happen. And Jared's like, maybe, but I'm not sure yet. Then he goes back to the Sea Shack with Jessica Alba, and they talk about the Zephyr and how, like, the story of it is that the guy basically dumped the ship and then ran off with the girl he loved. And Jessica Alba's like, would you, give up the gold for love? And he says, obviously, yes, of course I would give up the gold for you. 100%. Which is, like, probably true. And also, to me, like, pretty obvious. Like, it feels like a big gesture, but it's like, dude, we don't have the gold. So, and we've been together for, like, a while, and you're super hot, and I'm super hot, and, like, yeah, of course I'm gonna give up the gold for you. Like, we don't even have it yet. Like, what is the situation where he has to choose the gold over her? I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out. Um, but yeah, and so then Bryce and Amanda's like, Bryce, like, what are you talking about? He's not gonna do this. Like, so are you gonna be a winner or are you gonna be an idiot? She's like pulling some real Tate speech on Bryce, and Bryce falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. And so they go out with the coordinates that Amanda has, and they get the coke in the dark. They like try to pull some up. Um, he sees a tiger shark, and they're able to get, I don't know, they just pull up a couple bags, right?
Yeah, they're starting to pull up like bags full of a lot of the packets.
Yeah,
like
but they're
packages.
not pulling up. They're pulling up like a small percentage of this coke.
Yeah, sure.
And then they go to try to like sell it to the dude that Amanda was flirting with at the club or at that guy's party. And that is when they get into actual real trouble. Jared gets called and is like, "Hey, can you meet me here?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll meet you out there." And he shows up, and they're on this fancy lad's boat with guns, and he's like, "Oh yeah, these guys try to sell me coke. I need someone to vouch for them." And Jared's like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, but also this is my coke from a plane that I had coming here that went down, so I don't really appreciate you guys stealing from me." And so he's like, "Okay, well, what do you want us to do about? Well, you just have it. We'll be fine. We'll go." Um, but then that boss is like, No, 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 no. I know who you are, and I know who you love, and basically, like, you get me those drugs, all of them, in I believe it's 24 hours.
Yep.
Or I'm gonna kill Sam. So that's where you're at now. So anyway, that's how it is. And so Jared's like, "All right, well, no, we can't do that because we need money to get that. Like, we don't have the ability to get that much out of the ocean." So he gets them to front the 30K. They're able to actually get the equipment that they need, and then they do some investigating of the ship first, which to me felt like a real big problem. Like, first they're looking for like to try to make the claim on the Zephyr when it's like, dude, you got like a gun in your face. Get the coke. Solve the coke problem. Come back. Like, figure out the Zephyr situation.
Oh, yeah.
But
right.
they
like,
spend like a couple hours trying to find something that says Zephyr.
Yeah.
They do, I believe, find something that says Zephyr. I think it's a bell of the ship. And then they're like, all right, now let's get the coke. And it's like, dude, you're really cutting this close. So they go to get the coke, and they're hauling it up, and Amanda gets bit by a tiger shark, which I mean was foreshadowed by Sam that the only sharks you really have to worry about are the tiger sharks. It's like, and as a real shark nerd, kind of true. Tiger sharks will just bite you, and then they're not soft. Um, so where do we get here?
Will they try and rush Amanda
Oh, I
to
totally missed a very important point. When Sam finds out that they're gonna get the drugs for this dude, she
Oh, yeah.
dumps Jared.
Yeah.
Or presumably dumps Jared. And yep. That's it.
So after Amanda gets bit, they drop all the coke back into the water and try and take her to the hospital, which didn't quite make sense to me. I was like, why didn't they just keep the coke and then take her to the hospital? Like, they already had it up.
Yeah.
They had already like had it pulled
It's like
up.
right there, just
Yeah.
like pull it in.
Yeah.
You might need it. I don't know.
Might come in handy.
Anyway, Amanda's dead.
Yeah. She's super dead.
They don't have the coke, and they start getting hunted by drug dealers in what I would call a low-speed chase. They're basically just driving around between buildings, and then Jared just kind of gets out, and he like brings the blade from the ship. Okay. I don't know how this shakes out.
I'm trying to think it through.
I
So-
believe he pays off the henchmen of the drug dealers by showing them the blade that he got at the beginning, which, based on my Italian job calculations, is like $160,000 worth of gold.
Oh, God.
Just the blade by itself.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, he offers to show them where the gold is.
The boss, the drug boss.
Oh yeah, then they take him back to the boss's
Yeah,
ship,
yeah.
and he's been killed.
Yeah.
That's what happens next.
Yeah. Drug boss has been killed. The two other henchmen start looking around the boat. They get killed. And then Jared walks around the corner. Who's there? None other than
Bates.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. He's there. He's actually been kind of running the show from the beginning, working for this drug dealer dude. Oh yeah, and then Sam is hanging out. So after Jared leaves them, Sam and Bryce are just like driving around, and Sam's like, "Hey, drop me off here," and she gets dropped off at a law enforcement friend of hers that we saw basically check out their boat earlier. She tells him all about what's going on, and then he brings her to Bates. And so by the time Jared gets here, yeah,
Sam's already been kidnapped.
yep. And yeah, it's not good. So Bates calls to ransom Sam. Bates gets like a little bit rapey with Sam, which is not a fun. Like, all bad guys are rapists cliche is a cliche I'm done with. Not into it. And the cop friend, when this happens, is like, dude, no, like, these are actual friends of mine. Like, I understand you trying to like leverage a play, but like, no. And then Bates just shoots him in the face. So that cop friend gets dead. Not good. Bryce and Jared fight a little bit and then hatch a plan to rescue Sam. And so what the plan basically is Jared, he leads Bates to the coke. He goes onto the boat. And the sharks have like torn apart the coke that they dropped in the water, so the water's just kind of like filled with it.
And
And the other half of it is
cocaine
still buried.
sharks.
Yes, they got cocaine bear, but in the water, cocaine shark running about. Jared jumps off the boat like, I'm gonna destroy all this coke. Sam is trapped in that boat. She cuts off her cop friend who's dead's arm to escape the handcuffs that she's handcuffed to him. To escape that, and then Bryce and Jarrett like fight a dude in the plane. He has Bryce like stationed in the plane. So they're like chasing him to the plane, and then they like fight a dude in the plane. And then Bates shows up in the plane trying to get the coke. And yeah, Jared shoots him with, I believe, a harpoon, correct?
No, I think Bryce gets shot with the harpoon. Jared shoots him with a can of air, compressed air,
Okay.
right?
Yep, you were correct. Yep, he shoots an oxygen tank towards him and blows up like a torpedo on impact. Kind of like a little bit of a play to Jaws. Meanwhile, Sam is like fighting henchmen on a boat, and she drops one of them into the water, who gets torn apart by sharks because he's all bloody. Um, and then yeah, so Bryce takes a harpoon for Jared. Jared fights with Bates and shoots like an oxygen tank at him, and it explodes. Sam gets free from the henchmen, and then it just kind of fades to black and says 6 weeks later. And they have their equipment that they've rented, and they are continually looking for what they need to make like a claim on the Zephyr. Oh no, they have made their claim. They're looking for the gold, and they can't find it on the boat. And so they're trying to find the gold, and they are bringing up that same cannon, which snaps and falls back down and breaks part of the ship. Bryce went down to check it out, and he finds the gold.
I got the cheese.
Yep, he's thrilled.
And that's the movie.
We've done it.
We did it.
Into the blue.
Thank God it's over.
Yeah. Upon reflection, I like going through it. I'm not enjoying it as much as I did when I first watched it. So we've done our summary. We kept it in decent time. And now we are on to our next segment where we talk about the merits of the film, which is called Dunk or Defend. So let's start. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, defend. Joe, what's going on?
Dunk.
Yeah.
Dunk, 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 dunk.
Fair enough. Defense, I think we just need to make a rule. Defend goes first, because defend is more fun. And,
yeah, but best for last.
yeah, I don't know.
Fun for last? Yeah,
I don't
go
think
ahead.
so.
No,
Let's just go with defend.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Because I think like we kind of I have to defend it because of just the bare minimum fact is that this movie did what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be like a B-level treasure hunt movie, and it succeeded as it being a B-level treasure hunt movie.
I disagree
with beach
for
vibes
a few reasons.
and a lot of fun, and I think not Mark Wahlberg,
Mark Wahlberg.
Paul.
Our Lord and Savior. Mark
What's his
Wahlberg.
name?
Paul
Walker does a decent job. Josh Brolin's pretty fun,
Yeah.
and I think Jessica Alba has a decent performance. Dunks are many, but yeah, it just wasn't trying to be that much, and it didn't succeed at trying to be that much. I would just full disclosure, I watched this movie in the bath and drank like 3 beers while I was watching it, and it really
Lightened the mood.
it really made it seem
kept it
pretty
fun.
good. And then I just kind of went through it now, and I'm like, I have on my notes defend, and I'm not so sure, but I will say I do think it did what it was trying to do, and that's all I know about it. So Joe,
All
it's
right.
time for you to probably prove me wrong on this one.
Here's the dunks. First dunk is Jessica Alba cannot act, and Paul Walker is not a good enough actor to carry the lead role without a co-star who can act semi-well.
Yeah, proficiently.
So Jessica Alba's lack of just terrible acting made Paul Walker's acting worse as well.
Did you notice that Jessica Alba is quite attractive, though?
I I did notice that.
Okay,
And that kept me around. The only person that could act in that movie was Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin did Josh Brolin-y stuff and
Yeah.
acted well.
Because he's Josh Brolin.
Yeah. So that was number one turnoff. But that was more of a dunk on that. But as far as doing what it was supposed to do, it veered away from what it thought of itself a few too many times. The biggest veer away was when Amanda gets bitten by the shark, because at no point up until that movie were we in a horror movie. And that whole scene is intended to be a slasher horror, like animal attack movie. So it totally shifts vibe for that scene. And like there's nothing leading up to that point other than like some foreshadowing, like yeah, we were expecting that to happen as far as foreshadowing goes at some point, but just like the whole, it couldn't pick a lane.
The fact that she died is what really was the tone shift.
Yeah.
Like having a scary moment in kind of a romp is not unreasonable.
Right.
But the fact that she died was like, okay, well, that's unexpected.
And then later on, when Sam has to cut her friend's hand off.
Oh yeah, that's unnecessarily dark.
Yeah, like that's pretty dark. So I don't know. It just like it couldn't pick a lane.
Yeah, in one sense, it was trying to be fool's gold, and just really wasn't fool's gold.
Yeah, it was like fool's gold meets Jaws.
Yeah,
kind of, and cocaine.
That's fair.
So yeah, it just bad acting and didn't know what it was trying to do with itself. I was pretty bored. Most of the time, Amanda was super annoying.
It was. There was a Bryce and Amanda.
Bryce
was really annoying.
Yes, pretty annoying.
Yeah, I really shouldn't have defended this movie. I like this movie to watch. I don't know if I'll watch it ever again.
Yeah.
It was a little funny, but it wasn't intended to be.
I mean,
I just like seeing Paul Walker do Paul Walker stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Can't get that wrong. But Paul Walker stuff.
It's not great acting.
Yeah.
It's not Paul Rudd doing Paul Rudd things. He'll carry a whole movie on Paul Rudd doing Paul Rudd things. And Paul Walker just cannot.
Nope, he cannot. And Jessica Alba does not help.
Are you saying that she's not a good actor?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, she's pretty terrible.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Would you give up the treasure for me for love? I think it's actually like kind of important. Like, oh my gosh, Jessica Alba, just stop it. Stop. She has like a phony sincerity to her.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's tough.
Yep.
I get it. You want to be like kind of sincere, but you should just be funny. I bet she could be funny. I bet she could, but maybe not.
I bet
Maybe she doesn't have it.
She's probably got a funny movie.
I bet she's got like a silliness that could work, but
Yeah.
her sincerity sucks. I mean, to be fair, John Cena's in the same boat. John Cena's sincere is like, dude, why are we here right now?
Yeah.
I think you could
cannot
like
take him
silly
seriously.
John Cena. I'm
Yeah,
like,
just
are you my favorite actor right now?
Yeah.
Like this is like I love this so
Yeah.
much. I love watching it. I'm here for it. I'm not sick of it. Please keep doing this. Just do Peacemaker in every movie at varying levels of profanity, all right? Just you get the PG-13s, just, change some of those F words to fricks. Like I just only want to see Peacemaker all the time. So anyway,
Yeah. There you go. That's Dunk or Defend.
I reluctantly defended because I wrote it down in my notes. But
Gotta stick to your guns.
I do. So anyway, now we're on to the quarter mile time.
Woo!
This is where we decide, we rank the movie. We're not ranking it compared to everything, but this is where our emotions do come into play, as well as, the quality of the film. We're going to let plot holes cause problems here. And, bad acting might also as well. So, last time we did a countdown. Do you want to do that again?
Sure.
Count us down.
You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
16.
19.
All right. Go for it.
It was a 19 because I was bored. It was not very good. I don't recommend anyone to watch this unless you really love Paul Walker and just gotta get your Paul Walker or just Galba fix. And even then, just watch Fast and Furious or something else.
Just Google Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
You'll see her in a bikini, I'm sure.
But yeah, it was
Also, don't do that because it's creepy and weird. Just, just tend to your own affairs.
yeah, I don't know, man. It was not well done as far as what it was trying to be. Didn't stick to the lane. Yeah, so we got 19.
Okay, yeah, I guess I give it a 16 because of a couple of things. Number one, I like treasure hunt movies, and I think Paul Walker played the character fairly well. His acting was not great, especially in scenes with Jessica Alba, but I think he was the good fit for just like beach bum vibes. Like he was a good casting, I think, for the role,
Mm-hmm.
even if he didn't pull it off maybe in the way that we would possibly hope. Um, I thought that the turn of having Bates, Josh Brolin's character, actually be in charge was interesting. The idea that he would be working for this drug dealer wasn't that surprising to me, but the fact that he's actually like a kingpin and this guy is actually a go-between him and the cartels, but not actually his boss was kind of surprising to me, which I think was interesting. And then I think there were real moments of tension. A couple of them. At one point, Jared brings some drug dealers over to a different spot that isn't, or no, some of Brolin's crew, a different spot that isn't the spot where the ship is, and then they like fight those guys, and then the suspense of the cannon I thought was a pretty good scene. And
I'll give
I
that
was
scene to you.
not bored.
Hmm.
I was okay. Yeah, I was bored whenever they were just like sitting around talking. Whenever they were like talking, like back at the pool or back at the party or talking about stuff, I was like, or back at the sea shack. Just like, oh, I don't care about any of this. Like, so there was that level, and I think that's what really brings it down. I mean, overall, it's like a C movie, I think, with like a D execution, which I think, yeah, plus some bad acting and just comparing it to other things in its field, I'm gonna give it a 16, which I guess is an F, but whatever.
I respect it.
So I enjoy this movie. I say if it's on a streaming platform and you are just kind of like having a home day or you're like, man, I don't really know what to watch, give Into the Blue a shot. You might like it, you might hate it. I don't know. And Joe would say, Joe?
What would Joe say?
Just pass entirely?
Thinking. Joe would say, sure, if you're bored and got nothing better to watch and want to throw on something that's kind of fun and silly treasure hunt, just watch Fool's Gold instead.
That's a good point. And this is like the T of treasure hunt movies. Just drink coffee or just don't drink a hot beverage. Just watch Fool's Gold
Or
again.
Sahara.
Yeah. Or just don't. Yeah, or just don't watch TV. Just read a book. Yeah, you got me there. I mean, don't ever watch this movie. Just because if you're going to just instead watch Fool's Gold for the 5th time. Like, well, thank you so much for listening to Blockbuster Buffs.
That's all she wrote.